There are few cities in the world quite like Vilnius. Circumstance brought me here for the first time in 2010, and I'll be honest, my expectations were muted, to say the least. Vilnius, that's Lithuania, right? Or is it Estonia? Wait, no, maybe it's still part of Russia. Safe to say, it was not a place I'd heard a lot about. Not a destination that was at the top of my travel bucket list. So my ignorance filled in the blanks. Probably just another tired former Soviet outpost, I assumed. But 2 days on the ground in Vilnius, exploring with enthusiastic chaperones from the conference I was attending, and my perception of this city and this country was transformed forever. Not a tired relic of communism, but a bustling, thriving, interesting, captivating European city. One of the most progressive places in Europe, Vilnius stole my heart from that first visit, and it never fails to bring a smile to my face.
Vilnius is served by the efficiently named Vilnius International Airport, located just 6 kilometers south of the city center. It is deliciously convenient no matter how you measure it. It is a small airport, but this is a relatively small country. In fact, there's no internal domestic flights in Lithuania. But there are a number of European destinations served from this tidy little airport.
And with direct flights from London City Airport, it was a breeze for us to get here.
Given how close it is to the city center, getting in from the airport is quick and easy. There's a dedicated train service that will get you into town in just 8 minutes for a paltry 80 cents euro. The only snag is they only run every hour, which, given the size of the city and the airport, is kind of understandable. But it does mean you might be waiting for a while for a train after you arrive, so do bear that in mind. Either way, the station is adjacent to the terminal and you can buy your ticket online ahead of time from the conductor on the train itself or in the station.
If you're in a little bit more of a hurry, buses run from the airport every 10 to 15 minutes, and the journey only takes 15 minutes. You can buy a €1 single ticket from the driver. The number 1 bus runs from the airport to the central bus station and railway stations. Taxis are also available in ranks just outside the airport. Taxis have capped rates, so you don't need to worry about getting overcharged. Fares to the central station are €13 during the day and 15 at night. To the old town, it's 18 in the daytime and 21 at night.
Once you have endured the 8-minute strenuous journey into town from the airport and have safely arrived in Vilnius proper, getting around is a breeze, mainly because the city center itself is really compact. There's no metro, there's no trains within the city, there's no trams, it's just buses and trolley buses. And the bus network is comprehensive and easy to use. Tickets are just €1, paid to the driver in cash. That's it. You stamp your ticket in the red box and sit down. Simple, even I can figure that out.
It's rare for me to recommend a municipal transit app. They're almost universally terrible, but local app Trafi really is excellent. They give you public transport information and updates, as well as trip planning across all forms of transport, including bike and car sharing. And it's also by far the best way to buy single and multi-pass tickets, so definitely worth grabbing.
The Vilnius Pass is also great value. Not only does it cover your public transport, but it also gets you free tours, free access to many museums, discounts on many other attractions, and to top it all off, a free cup of coffee.
I know I keep going on about how compact the center of Vilnius is, but this is a good thing because it means you can explore a lot of the city's charm on foot. In fact, on foot is the only way to explore much of the old city because many of its streets are pedestrianized, and even taxis will avoid the areas that aren't because the roads are narrow and cobbled, and some of them are just plain inaccessible. So get out and explore this wonderful city on foot. Speaking of the old town, I wanted to share this gem of an area with you, Užupis. It's a small enclave on the bend of the river, which characterizes itself as a reasonably underdeveloped area full of artists, dreamers, squatters, and drunks. What's not to love about that? But it's so much more than that. In 1997, its residents declared it an independent republic. with its own anthem, its own president, its own minister for whistling outdoors, and, rather wonderfully, its own constitution, the tone of which is representative of the spirit of this entire area. The right to live by the river and the river's right to flow by everyone. The dog having a right to be a dog and a cat not being obliged to love its owner, but it has to help in a time of need. But most importantly, I think the last four, everyone has the right to not be afraid. Do not defeat, do not fight back, and do not surrender. Words for 2023 if I've ever heard them.
And that spirit of progressiveness is captured, quite literally, in a project that adds new light to a century of darkness.
Welcome to Lukiškės Prison 2.0. 4 years ago, it was actually a functioning prison.
Really?
Yeah, only 4 years ago you would not be easily going inside this place. The inmates were transferred to other penitentiaries all over Lithuania. We tried to convert the former prison into the place of art, culture, music. We have a bar, we have a restaurant, we have concerts happening, and we also have guided tours to show people around what was there 4 years ago and also what's happening right now. So I invite you easily right now to go into the territory of the prison to explore it. For 115 years, it was actually functioning as a prison. So it's even more impressive that for more than a century, this place was very closed and very strict. And now it's becoming one of the most free spaces in Vilnius.
Lukiškės prison has always accommodated crowds of people, but it has traded correctional confinement for entertainment and community. And although we're here in the off-season, it's -2 degrees outside, the evidence of progress remains palpable.
You cannot see much, but that's the yard where all the main concerts are taking place during the summertime.
And if this place seems eerily familiar to you, assuming you weren't an inmate between 1837 and 2019, then you might have spotted Lukiškės prison in Stranger Things or one of the many other productions filmed here. This location has gone through many iterations to reach its current version.
The version where people want to go in and don't want to get out. That's our purpose. That's what we try to achieve.
And as Martina locked us out of jail, for the first time in my life, okay, maybe the second, I was hoping I could find a way back into prison.
1, 2, 3.
What could be a more perfect representation of redemption and progress than Lukiškės prison 2.0? Let's be real. Food from this region is shrouded in historical bias, and not good bias either. We don't know a lot about it, so we make assumptions based on snippets we heard in history class or heard in a dubiously informed podcast. Lithuanian food, gonna be a lot of boiled meat, salted fish, and potato, right? Nope, not even close. Strap in, friends. This is one of the best food segments we've ever done.
Because this is a relatively small city and therefore relatively easy to get around, it doesn't need a whole lot of talking about, which means we get to spend a lot more time talking about my favorite thing in the entire world, food. I have long evangelized that the best way to understand a culture is through its food. If you really want to immerse yourself in the city or town or village or country where you find yourself, then break bread with the people that make it go. Understand what they eat and when and how and with whom. Only then will you be ready to really explore whatever wonderful place you find yourself in. But let's be honest with each other for a moment. I want you to tell me the last time that you were on the train home from work or making weekend plans with friends and thought, you know what would really hit the spot is some Lithuanian food. I'd like to wager it's been a while, and that's not because Lithuanian food is bad, far from it, as you are about to see. It's because not nearly enough people know about Lithuanian food. Not nearly enough people talk about the treasures that you can find in this city and in this country. So that is what we are going to do. We are going to go on a Lithuanian food crusade across this city. This is going to blow your mind.
We We were lucky enough to be in Vilnius for its annual Gastronomy Week, a food celebration that happens every November.
I think we have the strongest year ever in the industry. Even before COVID was not such booming the industry as it is now.
Justinas is the head chef at the venerable 14 Horses, a restaurant specializing in small plates that celebrate Lithuanian produce and cooking techniques. Previously a baker, Justinas has experienced the full gamut of Lithuanian cuisine.
What is Lithuanian? It's easy, It's if it grows in this period, and you take it from lakes or from the sea and fields, that's a Lithuanian dish if you put it together on the right time.
Right.
And the dishes we sample are very much put together at the right time. Sat at the chef's table with a ringside view of the kitchen, what followed was a feast for the eyes and the taste buds.
If this is the way it starts, then I think we are in for a hell of a ride.
I think this is the thing what you know, because you are British people, and that's a Scotch egg, okay? Chicken egg from our farm. On the top you have some cucumber relish and wild garlic mayonnaise wrapped into minced lamb.
It's the best, easily the best Scotch egg I've ever had in my life. And coming from a man of Scottish ancestry, that's saying a lot.
But that's not all.
Another one, maybe it looks like it came from the bakery, and that's the point. But it's not the sweet.
So eclair, trout remoulade, pickles, and then pike caviar. Exquisite. Have I had anything like this? And I'm very sure I never will again.
And the hits just keep on coming.
This is almost like a bhaji, not like a Indian bhaji. Beef tartare, pickled mushrooms, without exaggeration, some of the best food I've ever had in my life.
We're really lucky here because we have our farm, and the guys in our farm really helps. We have our production kitchenware, where we make jams, preserved vegetables, and so on. So we kind of cover that side. So we dig deeper, and we want to go for more forward with these concepts.
And I, for one, will be following their progress with great anticipation. And after eating what felt like 14 meals at 14 Horses, I feared I would never have room to eat again. But who am I kidding? I love eating, so I was back in the saddle for some Lithuanian classics.
The first time I came to Lithuania, this was slid in front of me, and I wasn't really sure what to make of it. I mean, it's certainly eye-catching in its pinkness. It is cold beetroot soup, stay with me, made with kefir, which is sort of fermented milk, a little bit like buttermilk, sour cream. Again, stay with me, don't worry about the fermented milk thing. Usually served in the summer because it's cold and it's refreshing, but it is frankly delicious all year round. It's got a cucumber in it, and it's often served with boiled potatoes and rye bread for those dipping moments, and then topped with dill. I absolutely love this stuff, and I think about it a little bit too regularly for a soup, but it's the first thing I try and find whenever I'm in this wonderful country.
But if we're going to talk about the classics,
Primo.
then we have to give praise to the dish that is Cepelinės.
Lithuania's unofficial, official national dish, Cepelinės, in English, Zeppelins. And I cannot figure out why they're called Zeppelins. Because it looks like an airship. It is a potato dumpling filled with meat. Meat and potatoes are kind of the backbone of Lithuanian dining, but not exclusively. Usually served with a sour cream based sauce, sometimes already poured on it. Ours have been put in little ramekins, and then like a little mixture of meat, more meat for your meat. And you can kind of just pour it on there and have more meat with your meat. Sometimes it comes with pork crackling. This is like a bacon slurry, and I'm completely okay with that. A beautiful ooey gooey sauce, sour cream based, like I said. I mean, what more can you need after that? This is like the perfect comfort food, especially on a day like today where it's trying to snow and it's just stodgy and filling and comforting and meaty, and it's just absolute perfect winter food. It is kind of what you think about when you think of this region of the world, and that is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
And speaking of wonderful, wonderful things, there's just a couple more items on our culinary crusade that I have to share with you.
Lithuania has developed a little bit of a reputation as a beer country, and when I say that, I mean it produces truly excellent lager. And there is, in my opinion, only one accompaniment for this crispy boy, and this is the ultimate Lithuanian beer snack food. It is deep fried rye bread, which is then rubbed in garlic and butter and covered in a completely reasonable amount of cheese. And you can find these anywhere. They're riffed on a little bit, but any bar, any restaurant will have this as an appetizer. A couple of different types of cheese. This one has mayonnaise on it. There's no elegant or sophisticated way to eat this, so. Fried bread and cheese and garlic. Okay. What more do you need?
Whoever thought that Vilnius and Lithuania as a whole could be home to such gastronomical joy? Certainly not me. I am so glad that when I first visited Vilnius, I had friends to introduce me to some of the foods I've shared with you in this episode. I still think about that beetroot soup and the deep fried bread with a regularity that borders on obsession. But I had no idea the seam was so rich, the quality so high, and the dishes so varied. It's not just the high-end creative stuff, nor is it just the delightfully heavy comfort food either. It's that you can get both easily, readily, affordably across the entire city. What more could you ask for in a food destination?
The last time I was in Lithuania, the country was still using its own currency, the litas. Since then, on 1st of January 2015 to be precise, Lithuania has adopted the euro, which makes life much easier. There are ATMs all over the city, and most shops and restaurants will accept debit and credit cards. However, American Express is almost universally not accepted, so bear that in mind. And besides, it's always good to have a little bit of cash on you for those street food gems and for public transport tickets. Vilnius will feel like extremely good value compared to just about every other European capital. You can eat, drink, and get around here for relatively little. I mean, 80 cents for the train from the airport into town, I mean, how can you beat that? But what about the rest of the experience? How does that stack up? And on that note, let's do the rundown. A cup of coffee costs around €2. A glass of beer will cost around €3. And for the most reliable indicator of a nation's cost, the good old Big Mac, you're going to pay €3.85 or $4.15 US.
I was a fool to dismiss this city and this country when I first came here over a decade ago. And that is the curse of many travelers, especially the more quote-unquote experienced ones. You assume that a city cast from the same fires as another will have evolved in the same manner, with the same characteristics and the same appeal. I don't need to visit City X because I've been to City Y. If only the world were that simple. But it's not, and it never will be. And so I owe Vilnius and Lithuania an apology for letting my own ignorance and bias get the better of me. Because this city is now one of my favorites in Europe. It never fails to bring a smile to my face every time I think about it, even after several trips back across all seasons. A beautiful, historic city full of charming people and great food, topped off with a healthy dose of wry humor and self-deprecation. What more could you ask for? You owe it to yourself to explore this city, this country, and this entire region because it is full of gold.